this evening. It's nice to see you all here in this day, and I'm glad that you all could make it. And so, as protect her, and also to see that the meeting runs smoothly in every way. Of course, that just depends upon my side, on the things that I may have to bring in to help people. But for the moment, what I'm going to do is bring in healers for every one of you who's online. So just give me a moment while I set up your healers to be with you for the rest of the night. All right, all the healers have stepped up. And as always, if you would like to send healing to someone, family member, just make the intention that your healer should also, while healing you, send healing to whoever it is that you are thinking about. And we thank you very much. Good evening. It is I, Rankar. It is my pleasure to be with you in this evening. And I know that we will be having questions coming, and I am glad of that. And for the moment, though, I wish to speak to you about your creation of your life. Now, this is a topic which has been discussed many times by me and many others, like Creation 101. And I am reminding you all, for some of you may have heard this lecture already, that you create the life that you live. Now, most people look at that as you attract the things to yourself that you fear. Because what you think about, you tend to attract yourself to yourself. But in this evening, I would like to point out to you that it isn't so much what happens around that you enjoy or you do not enjoy, as the case may be, but it is how you interpret those things that are happening and going on around you at this time. You have all been asked to isolate yourselves, to socially isolate. You may be in the same room, or you may be together outdoors or in some way that is considered safe, and other people in charge. But you keep a social distance, a distance of that you keep that. And it is thought that this distance will stop you from spreading the virus to one another. Of course, it is true, as things tend to be when they are spoken in the physical world, since expression of exactly which is happening is always difficult. Communication is very difficult on the earth plane, because you must use words, and everybody understands and uses words slightly differently. And that is part of because you are always assessing, looking at what is happening. You are making judgments which determine how you are thinking, whether or not you are happy. Is this a good thing that is going on in my life? Is this person good for me? Is this person not so good for me? Do I like this person? You are making a million judgments in every how you live your life on a daily basis. For you, maybe there are some distractions going on.
Yeah, you're still coming in and out.
I am told my voice is still fading in and out, but we are doing the best that we can here to fix the problem. At any rate, things which determines how you are feeling. For thoughts determine feelings and emotions. And so you can create for yourself great unhappiness by your thoughts. Sometimes it is not in that the actions that are going on are intended to create you great unhappiness. You are unhappy because what you are thinking about what is happening. Not so. It's not possible for you to nuance every aspect of your life by evaluating what is happening around you. It is far more effective for you to look at things in such a way that you always choose to see the best for yourself. That is a voluntary choice that you make how to interpret things. Particularly, there are many things which are not reasonably, are not understood correctly immediately. Sometimes people say things which are ambiguous, meaning you're not sure how to take them. Well, my advice to you is that you take it to mean the best that it keep. Actually, I have finished my lecture for this evening. Just know that it is the way you think about things which create your own happiness or your own unhappiness. And so you should always make the choice to interpret anything that's going on around you in the best way possible that makes you feel good. Because when you have interpreted it in that way, you will feel good. And when you feel good, you will be happy. And so you will create happiness by choosing to see things in such a way that you see them as beneficial for yourself and that they make you happy. I know in this time of being socially distant, perhaps celebrations, things that you would normally have done, which would have given if you interpret that this is okay with you, that this is all right and is not disturbing to you, that at this time you are happy in your home, you are happy without endangering your good health and your well-being or disobeying any of the regulations which are things will help to make your life more bearable, but much happier also in many ways. And so, again, I urge you to take responsibility. Know that it is not what is happening around you that causes your happiness, but how you think about it. And choose to think about it in ways that are constructive, fulfilling, and happy for yourself. So, are there any questions that you would like to ask of me? You may unmute. Are there any questions for me in this evening?
Yes, Rankar, I was wondering, could you tell me a little something about reincarnation?
Well, that is quite a big topic. A little something. I'm not quite sure what you are interested in. Let me try to in his image. In other words, he has created us as creators. And in many ways, what I was speaking of in the message this evening, because I think you can understand clearly that if you choose to interpret things in such a way that they bring you great happiness, you will be experiencing a happy life. If you choose to feel hurt over someone's words or actions, you are making yourself unhappy. And notice that I said choose to feel hurt, because that is truly what you are doing. You have made a judgment which says that person should not have done that, and they should not behave in that way, and they have injured me in some way which I no longer feel happy. So therefore, I am hurt. Is because you go through a life, and having been given free will, having been given the power to create, you make decisions, you take actions, you interpret things as you want the life that you are living in this day, from day to day. And you create perhaps great happiness, or you create unhappiness. Certainly there are things which happen in your life which become ill and literally experience pain, but you could also lose in the sense of people who are important to you go into transition, and you are left missing these individuals. So sometimes what you are experiencing is self-created for yourself. Sometimes it is still your reaction to situations that create your life and make you happy or unhappy. So having put together a whole life that God has given you the option of free will, that you could design what you wanted to do. You could make the efforts to have things come into your life. You could choose to work hard and perhaps become rich, or you could find something fulfilling that you just like to do, and it made you happy to do that work. And so you chose to make decisions which in general brought about your highest and best good. But along the way, you all made mistakes. And so view your life for yourself, and you see all the good things that you did, and you see all the mistakes that you made. And having done that, in a sense, you judge yourself as to give yourself your own report card on whether you made a good incarnation or not. Now, if you have not made a good incarnation, there is a period of remorse, and then you truly want to make things right again. You want to try to balance it out. You want to try it again, because each you may say, and many people do, that I don't want to come back to the earth plane any longer. But the truth is that you generally, once you are in spirit, you do decide you would like to come back on the earth plane, because this is where you can create. And now that you've spent time reflecting on your last life that you were in and realizing your mistakes, you want to design a new life in which you can be more successful, perhaps. And as such, you try to find a life that is about to begin. And you can choose to be the soul for that new life that is beginning. You can see what time because you can consult the Akashic records to some degree. You cannot see everything that is destined for that child or that person. How could that be? Because there is free will. And anything you do, you can change. So you choose to look at your parents and see what they will give to you when you are born in the way of your heredity. Also the way of and the things they bring into your life, the way they will affect you as a child. And so you can get a view of what kind of person you would have the potential to be in that life. Be with that family. You will know the date of birth or close enough to the date of birth so that you and time of birth so that you can choose whether this is good for you and you set up as best you can the way you want your life to be. And then it is up to you to create it and you go through the process. And remember that you're joyful. Now, some people have made what might be termed errors in their past lives, even grievous errors where they might have hurt or harmed someone. They may see that it is their duty and their desire to go back into another lifetime in which they will be together with this person in balancing karma, so to speak. And so you will take all these things into consideration when you design your new life, because you truly design your new life. You see, if you think of someone like the Reverend Martin Luther King and all the good he did for his people, his inspirational speeches, where he tried to get his people to think of themselves in more positive ways and to know that they deserved to be treated more equally than they were in some places. And he determined that he would take these actions because in a past lifetime, he had been a slave owner and a slave overseer, so that he was not always kind to his slaves, and he saw the injustice in those situations and decided that he would come into this lifetime to try to right that difficulty he had caused in this previous lifetime. As such, he came forth to do what he did, become a preacher, speak inspiring, lead a civil rights movement, which was very effective until the time of his death. It was an inspirational event to many people that this man should die in such a way in order to inspire others to stick with their values and their beliefs, no matter what and in what way. It may not seem to add to an incarnation, to be killed or murdered. It has a profound effect on others. And so these are all choices that someone may come into a lifetime knowing that they will be murdered, knowing that if they succeed, they may not be happy in the long run and will have difficulties. The challenge that is there when you are in spirit is a desired one. And so it may be hard for you to imagine that you chose to come into a life where you are blind or handicapped in difficulty, and the desire to master a difficulty, to demonstrate how great a creator you can be exists. Of course, many people are not successful in their life. They may have chosen something that was beyond their capability. They may have forgotten, you always forget once you are in a physical body why you came. You have it with you when you are born, but because always inundated with new material into your mind, your subconscious mind, that which you knew upon your incarnation is covered over by all the new information that you are getting from what you are experiencing. And this has been perhaps a little bit disjointed because without a specific about reincarnation, it is difficult to speak of what it's like to choose a new life and to move forward into that life. But every new life is your opportunity to create a beautiful life. And that is your goal. Are more specific?
Ask if they can hear.
Can you hear all right?
I have trouble.
I heard most of it. It was very informative. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I'm glad to hear that at least you could hear most of it.
I did.
Should be better now, I hope.
I'm sorry?
It should be better now, I hope.
We are hoping that it will be more consistent in the volume. So I have been told that it is often spotty. It comes and goes in its strength, and as a result makes it difficult. Are there any other questions?
I think I have a question. You'll have to pardon me. I muted and unmuted through all of your talk. It was helping me to be able to hear more of what you were saying.
Oh, when you were unmuted, you could hear better?
Yes, at times. And then you got to a point where I couldn't understand. Then I muted again. Then I unmuted. Then you were clear again. So I kept going back and forth.
Well, you have not caused a disturbance as far as I know, so you need not be worried about that.
Thank you. Okay, so the question is, even if we planned when we were in non-physical to learn certain things or to make up for certain errors in our prior life, if we decided to come into a situation where we were abused or neglected, it may be the soul's intent, and of course forgiveness in whatever way that can be lived out through the individual, and also a perseverance to make a better life, of course, are very productive and developing for the soul. But the individual who does the neglecting, does perhaps the physical violence and abusing, that those are still actions that are wrong for any entity to perpetrate. And so should the individual who comes in and chooses that environment attempt to do anything about individuals that do physically abuse and neglect others? Or should they just understand that it was their soul's choice as well to come into that situation?
Well, know that it was never a soul's choice to come in to be an abuser and to be an individual that causes harm and destruction for another. That is never the intention. The problem comes when, in dealing with the physical world, that certain disappointments, yes, there are many things in which a person can acquire, we will say, addiction to alcohol or drugs. And this type of addiction, which comes of their own free will, it comes from drinking the alcohol in excess and doing it continually until the body itself craves for such alcohol. And it becomes very hard for a person to avoid the alcohol, which causes drunkenness, which causes a lack of inhibitions to people. It causes parts of their brain to shut down and not work properly. And so they do things that they should not do, and perhaps they would not do when they were sober. But because they crave the alcohol, they crave that release that it gives them, it allows them to act badly and destructively to other people and to themselves. And so they are causing in their own way their own misery, and it is an increasing misery, which is actually demonstrated by their behavior, which becomes perhaps violent and abusive to those who are around them. This is not because they intend to be violent and abusive. It is because their normal restrictions from being violent and abusive have disappeared due to the inhibition of the alcohol. And of course, there is pain that even they are experiencing at that moment, and they are lashing out at those who are around them and causing much more chaos, destruction, and making everything worse than it was before. So they are busy creating their own unhappiness, as well as creating a great deal of unhappiness for others. And so part of the question, your question may be, did I come into this incarnation knowing that I would be in this circumstance and I would have to overcome this? But I see that in overcoming this situation, I have grown, I have matured, I have great understanding, and I even have more compassion for people now than I might have had I had a more normal existence when I was growing up than this abusive, horrible one. It makes me a better person that I survived this. And it is possible that you saw this as a possibility and knew that it is going to be a difficult incarnation, but you were confident in your own strength and your own beliefs and your own knowledge to know that you would overcome. And of course, in your case, you have done so admirably. Is it your responsibility to go back and try to, I am not sure about that question, that aspect of the question. Is it your responsibility to go back and try to confront your abuser or to bring him to justice in any way? The answer is, of course, no. It is not your responsibility, nor is it desirable for you to do so. Because in your own best interest, it is probably best for you to not retain any relationship with that individual unless that individual has already changed, and you can expect no more abuse from them. So it is perfectly acceptable for you to eliminate that individual from your life. You already went through what you might have desired to go through. And if it was not what you desired to go through, there is no reason for you to suffer anymore concerning this difficulty.
That person is dead. The abuser is dead. But I know there are many other children growing up in similar circumstances who are beaten terribly physically, others who are neglected. I am sometimes tempted to join organizations to try to help these children. But if our souls, which are of course wiser and more all-seeing, choose these environments for us for purposes, perhaps that is not appropriate.
By all means, it is appropriate that if you choose to do this, you will feel fulfilled by any way in which you can help another avoid the abuse, because your help can only serve to comfort those who are abused. And perhaps you will shield them from the full effects of that abuse through the giving of positive images for the information, by giving them the information and the knowledge that they need, such as they are capable. This doesn't have to affect them for the rest of their life. They can and will leave these situations. When they are children, of course, they do not have much opportunity to make such decisions or take those type of actions for themselves. They are prevented from doing so. But if you are aware of them, sometimes you can report them to the authorities, and perhaps that will help those children in this way. So it is only important for you to not jeopardize yourself as you choose to take these actions. You do not want to get yourself so emotionally upset over the wounds of others that you cause yourself a great deal of unhappiness. You can only give as much as you are comfortable giving. You can only take as many actions as you are comfortable taking without hurting yourself. Or you are responsible for your life. And as much as you may want to help others, if it endangers your life, or if it makes you immensely unhappy, it is not a good thing for you to do. You have to allow others who may choose to do this for a living or take care of situations that you may be aware of. But in your own way, you can offer love and compassion to these individuals that may cross your path, if you understand what I am saying. You have to be balanced about the actions you take to help these individuals. But you can join organizations, you can support them financially if you can. You can volunteer in whatever ways they use volunteers, if it is within your ability to volunteer or your time constraints to volunteer. You can give as much as you like, and you should not feel guilty should you decide that you have given as much as you can possibly give, that you cannot give more and you do not choose to give more, because you need to keep enough love and compassion for yourself so that you do not suffer in looking at the suffering of others. I hope that is helpful.
Yes, makes sense, totally. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Are there other questions? If there are others who are having difficulty hearing me,
This is Mahesh.
Hello, Mahesh.
Hi. I have two names in my mind and I want to ask about them. One person is Nome. He calls himself Nome, N-O-M-E, and he is the founder of Society of Abidance in Truth. I just want to know whether
The Society for
Society of Abidance, A-B-I-D-A-N-C, Abidance in Truth.
Avoidance.
Abidance, abide.
Abide.
To abidance in truth. Society of Abidance in Truth.
Abiding in truth.
And his name is Nome, N-O-M-E. He calls himself Nome. May I know if he is enlightened?
You are wondering if he is an enlightened individual.
Because he is teaching spirituality, just I want to know whether he is enlightened or it is just academic.
Or an academic. I understand your question now. I would like to say it does not matter whether he is enlightened or an academic. What matters is if in listening to him, you are inspired to be better or to understand something more in some way, that it is inspirational and uplifting to you. You see, everyone's mind is a little bit different, and it does not matter how enlightened an individual may be in himself. He may not be able to communicate it effectively or in such a way that you, as the listener, can understand what he is saying and be uplifted and enlightened. For all degrees of enlightenment. And sometimes the individual who is only slightly more enlightened than his audience is able to inspire and uplift those individuals. While there may be other people who have even greater understanding than that individual enlightened, he would not be enlightening to them at all, because to other individuals who are also enlightened, what he is saying is common knowledge and not of great help to them as individuals. So therefore, it depends upon the audience. That is why it is not important. Now, being that he has studied many things, and you are probably saying, yes, there are many people who study things in academia, but they do not understand the things they speak about. These individuals still can be enlightening to others. They, what they know and they understand, they may be able to express to a certain audience, whereas again, I have said, there are other audiences who would not be impressed by what they said, and they would not find him to be enlightened. So you do not have to ask me if someone is enlightened or not. Assume that if what they say to you does not uplift and inspire you, well, it may be just that you are just as enlightened as they are. And you could easily teach the same classes and say the same things. It does not mean that they are not enlightened. It only means that you are equally or more enlightened. And so you do not have to make a judgment as to whether the words of this individual are are just academic in the sense that he knows them in his mind, but he doesn't practice them and they are not apparent in his life. For there are many people who know things, but do not manifest it properly within themselves. They still act in an unenlightened manner, even though they understand enlightened subjects and speak on enlightened subjects. Their personal behavior does not live up to what they know. And that is your definition of a person who is not enlightened, that their personal behavior does not live up to a higher standard. But they still have the ability to help someone. So you make the judgment for yourself whether this individual gives you good information, inspiring and uplifting, and whether it is flat and not of interest to you, and maybe doesn't even make sense. If that is the case, it does not matter what they are. They are not enlightened for you. Do you understand?
Yes, sure, thank you.
Do you have another name that you wanted me to consider?
Yes, please. It is Paul, P-A-U-L, Paul Hederman, H-E-D-D-E-R-M-A-N. Paul Hederman.
And once again, my answer would have to be the same.
Okay.
It does not matter whether or not they fall into the category of enlightened. It's whether what they give to you is an inspirational and uplifting and helps you to live a better, happier life. If that is what they are giving, you may consider them enlightened, but very often these individuals can inspire you part of the time, but in others leave you flat and not feeling uplifted or not coming away from a lecture with anything that inspires you, in which case they are just showing their own lack. So there is no ultimatum, a level at which you can say this person is enlightened. It is everyone can be enlightened or someone else. And we have all gotten a piece of guidance or wisdom from someone else at some time, which was truly enlightening and inspirational to ourselves. So for yourself, if that is what you get from conversation or the study of this person's word, feel free to take the enlightenment that you receive as their gift. But if you are not inspired, do not stress over that. They perhaps are no more enlightened than yourself.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
Thank
Are
you.
there other questions?
I guess I'll jump in.
Yes, thank you.
I'm still dealing with the, work-related things. Things might have shifted here. And I don't know if an individual is going to leave or not. The individual said that the individual was going to leave. The person's on vacation right now, and that has a huge impact on me. What will come to be if that is the case? Anything you can tell me regarding, just so I can prepare myself and gear up for a big change. Thank
Well,
you.
Your question is quite ambiguous.
I'm sorry, work related.
I would simply ask you first, if this person is on vacation, does that mean that you now have more responsibility because they are on vacation, or that the new person who is taken over in their position has dramatically changed that which you are experiencing?
Well, the person's on vacation, but before the person went on vacation, made a statement of seeking out employment elsewhere. I'll leave it like that, just because people know where I work potentially. Trying to be very vague here in a way to protect the individual and myself. But if this person were to leave, it would present itself, for me to step up. Of course, right now it's not impacting me with the person on vacation. It's just the fact, is this individual potentially coming back? Because the individual said that there wasn't an intention of coming back after vacation.
Yes, I do understand what so your question is, in a sense, are they coming back from vacation so that your life will return to what it was before, or are there going to be changes in which you will have opportunities? Is that not correct? Is that your question?
That's it. Yes, thank you.
Well, since I do not know the individual and it would not be appropriate for me to look into their life to see whether their intention of finding new employment is realized, I can safely say that if they do not have a new job, but they have already stated their intention, that they will be continuing to look for a new job. Being on vacation does not, even though you have more time while you're on vacation, perhaps to because people are not always willing to hire when you are ready for a new job, even though you may be perfect. You have already been given the declared intention. And if that individual is truly capable and competent to move on to better employment or do as well as they are where they are, then you can be assured that that will be accomplished at some point in time.
Yeah, I guess maybe I'm approaching it the wrong way. What do you see for me then, since I'm asking from my perspective,
Yes,
or on my life regarding my own life? Then,
yes,
you know,
yes.
instead of detaching from the individual, do you see me moving up at all this year or at any time in the near future?
Well, I do not usually like to make predictions in this particular format because it is not, my purpose is to educate rather than to indicate what you should do. And if I tell you, yes, you will be moving up, you may not choose to look for new employment. And you have to make these decisions for yourself. Do you understand that if you are unhappy where you are, it is important for you to seek a better position. If you basically like where you are, but would like more opportunity, I can assure you that there will arise more opportunity in this situation. But it is only your decision should be made on whether you are happy where you are now, not on the possibility that someone will leave and then you will be able to step up in authority and income, perhaps. So you have to make that decision for yourself.
Well, definitely the structure of the new company, I'm definitely happier. Things haven't transpired yet as far as the pay structure, but that's coming very, very soon. I think I have to just get my head around what what I'll be selling, and the volume of what I'll be doing will change. But I think I can definitely embrace it in a positive way. I think it's going to be not so stressful and whatnot. And I just think that the products themselves will speak for themselves. So in a way, it's going to be much easier for me. In a way, I'm going to feel like, wow, I'm not as needed. But in a way, that's also freeing. So I'm looking really forward to it. And I know you said that, you know, you got to create the reality. And so I'm only thinking positive. Matter of fact, a coworker told me to tune down my enthusiasm, which I thought was hysterical, because other people were dreading some of the changes. And here I'm bouncing off the walls ecstatic. And a coworker told me to tone it down. So I'm like, no, I'm not going to tone it down. You know, I'm happy. I'm really happy. So that's
So you
all
are
I was curious.
So you are definitely seeing more opportunity in the new situation now that you have come to understand it a little bit better and are actually looking forward to the changes that are still coming because you feel that your life will be better and improved. And so there is your answer. You are happy in what you are seeing coming. And there is no reason for, with that optimism and that attitude, there is no reason why you would not be successful. So you will be successful given that opportunity because you see it as an opportunity. Obviously, your coworker does not. And so they are creating limitation for themselves and they will not be happy in that situation. They will probably move on if they can.
So true. Thank you.
You are welcome. Are there other questions? Well, it appears there are no other questions.
It seems like we're going through a lot of change right now, continuous change, which has been reflected a lot in the.
Can you unmute
astrology.
yourself so that others can hear you?
If I unmute myself, then
It's too hard.
feedback.
All right, I will do my best to give you his question.
Okay, so we've had a lot of change going on over the past month, and it's been reflected a lot in the astrology that Kathy Kirsten talks about. I'm just curious, do you see this change and continuing for a long time, or will we get a chance to recoup and just kind of rebuild on a new foundation at some point in the next, well, say 6 months?
Yes, well, you have pretty much nailed it on the head. What is going on with the astrology is such that it is going to take several months even to implement, even though you may look at it as a single moment in time in which these aspects have come about. They have brought forth in many people's thinking consideration of the kind of life they were living, what they are doing now, would they like to make changes? And all these considerations that people are thinking about will take time, even if they come to an instant knowledge and understanding that this is good or it is not good. Something in their life is good or it is not good. If it is not good, the change cannot be achieved immediately. And it will begin to progress and would probably take 6 months to maybe a year to accomplish the changes that have been put in motion. But they will certainly last through the end of the year when things will once again have an opportunity to come about under the influence of new astrology, which will make a difference. So you may assume that many of the changes that are in the process of taking place or have been inspired by recent events, and you all know the kind of events that I am referring to, that the virus, the demonstrations, the violence, these are all things which are busy making changes. And while the violence and the demonstrations will certainly end in a fairly short order, the actual violence and the demonstrations, the result of some of these things will take a long time to iron out. Now, your definition of a long time may be different from my definition of a long time. I am thinking of a fairly short time when you look at across the whole. If anything takes place, the changes take place within 6 months, you are looking at a fairly short time when you look at the whole of things. And people certainly, some of these issues will be determined in the next 6 months. you are going to have an election, and this will have an effect. And this too will have its own changes, instigate its own changes, let alone the violence and the virus. Changes in how the virus is interpreted, and changes in death rates and even rate of infections. It is really a question of the rate of infections and the rate of death, that when they are held in ratio to one another, you will come to better understanding, and you will feel that this is not the problem that it was once in the beginning when it was new and fresh. Before people knew how to treat the virus, before any medications were found that were helpful. Well, when something new such as this comes on the scene, people do not know what to do. They do not know how to react. And they begin to experiment and try things and make changes. Many people have even looked at metaphysics and metaphysical places and thought as a way to bring about change to themselves. And so they will, the metaphysicians, in a sense, will fill the void that other areas have left open, because they are not, they don't have the solutions that people want to hear. And so some people will move on, and some people may stay in the same mode of thinking. They will hunker down, so to speak, and try not to change. But the world is going to change around them. As I spoke in my first message in this evening, it's not what's going on around you, but is what is going on inside of you that determines whether you are happy, determines your success, determines your prosperity, determines whether you are enjoying your life or not. And so when you come to that knowledge and that understanding for well within yourself, in a sense, that is being enlightened, which Mahesh brought up about these individuals. In a sense, when you become more enlightened, when you are inspired, then you will be more in charge of your own feelings and what you are getting out of a situation. And as a result, the changes that you create, that you want to create, are what you will experience, not what's happening around you, because you always have the choice on how to interpret what is happening. And if you make the choice to interpret it in such a way that you feel good about what is going on in your life, then you will create a happy life for yourself, regardless of the changes. Are there any more questions? I'm sorry, someone is about to say something.
Yeah, I just have a question for Juana. I can't find something.
You want to ask Juana how to find something? All right.
Yeah, I can't find. I'm going nuts trying to find something. So.
Okay, well then, I think it is probably time for me to say goodnight. So I will do so. And Juana, of course, will come back and you can ask your question.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I give you all my blessings. Good night.
Good night.
Hi, I'm back.
Juana,
Okay,
I can't find
you
something.
wanted to ask me.
Yeah, I can't find a camera bag. I'm going absolutely crazy going through the whole house. It is a Nikon camera bag, soft-sided camera bag. It's got lenses in it. I've tore up the whole house. I desperately need to find this bag. I want to sell a lens. I got to see what I have before I sell the lens. I don't want to bore you with the details, but I've looked everywhere.
I don't know the details, but it seems to me that it is in a dark spot in the back in a closet. Now you may have taken out all the stuff that was in the closet, to me in a corner that it may not have been seen because it is, I believe you were asking me about, and it is in a dark spot. So a cursory look will not show it because it is in the dark, and it is dark, and it just will not be seen, that you almost need to read.
Say the last part again.
Yeah, I didn't get the last part. I'm sorry.
Okay, what I said was that you may need to reach into the corners of your closets, where, particularly the darker ones, to see if it is there, because it is in a dark spot. It cannot be seen. It will have to be felt in order to be found. You may
Okay, I
also
started.
be on cups.
Yeah, I started uncovering a dark closet today, but I got so frustrated because there was so much stuff in the closet. But you're seeing it as a standalone. It's not in a bin or anything. This is something that I could reach as soon as I unearth it from whatever else is on top of it or around it. Is that correct?
That is what I am thinking that it is.
Okay.
What I am seeing is it all the way back in a corner. It is dark. It cannot be seen. So if there are many
Okay.
things in your dark closet that you are opening, have the patience to take them all out. And as you take them out, you might think on whether you need some of these things and throw them away.
I agree completely. Thank you so much.
And that will also make you feel good. When you throw the things away that you no longer need, or give them away, or put them in a collection box somewhere, you will be so happy because the closet will be nice and clean, and you will have found what you're looking for, and you will be happy.
Exactly.
Thank you again, Juana.
You're welcome.
About flashlight.
Vana,
Is
this
there
is Mahesh.
anything else?
Yes, Vana, this is Mahesh.
Yes, hi, Buana. Hi, Mahesh.
Yes, I had the same question. Soham and Charmi got married, and we are talking January 2019. And Charmi lost her gold necklace in my apartment in India. She was in my apartment in India, and we could not find the necklace, gold necklace. It was just, I think, couple of days after the marriage, probably a few days. So is it is it still in the apartment, or it is somebody got it and it's a gold necklace?
Yes, I hear what you are saying. I am not certain on this, but I am thinking that it is. I am not so sure that it is in the apartment, that she may have lost it somewhere else, and it may be that someone else has got it. I am not certain that you will find this again, but of course, I do not know if you looked everywhere in your apartment in India, but if you did and you did not find it, I think she lost it somewhere else other than in your apartment and just may not have been aware of it.
Oh,
And
so
that she
someone
thought
else.
she took it off in the apartment, but didn't.
Okay, someone else has got it. She says that it was in her purse, and the purse was in a bag, in a handbag. But she has, then I forgot, she is telling many different things, whether it is in the apartment or whether it is in the purse or in the handbag. She doesn't remember that.
Yes, I am thinking that it did not get into the apartment. I am thinking that it came off her neck.
Oh, and fell somewhere and somebody got it?
It would be wherever it was dropped, so that it may have been found and there was no way to bring it to its owner, and was considered good fortune.
All right, that's fine.
But if all you can do is look look through the purse and the pocketbook and the apartment, and I realize you are not there. So it is not able, you are not able to do that. And I'm sure it is, I, I do not see it in a purse. I'm sorry, I do not see this.
Sure. Yeah. All right.
Okay, is there anything else?
Thank you.
Yeah, just one quick one. I don't know. Just can you check on Julia, see if she's okay?
You want me to check on Julia because she didn't come?
Well, she was having some problem with her legs, and I didn't know if that was the reason she didn't come.
I don't think it is the reason she didn't come. There was some other, I do not know why she didn't come. I think she just decided not to come today. Is there anything else? Then, okay, everybody, it's time for me to say goodnight too. Remember, I love you all. Good night.